Now, Hassan Piker made a video a couple of days ago where he was terrified about how many young men are right wingers. Like, you go on every forum, you go on most social media places where young adult men are gathering, and you will notice that they have a right wing culture. Now, you can explain that by saying the fact that, well, okay, the left has moved so far that they don't even know what a woman is, and if you disagree with them, you're not a leftist. And it's to the point where Anna Kasparian is talking about how a vicious murderer was allowed to walk out without bail, and she's abhorred by that, so people call her not a right leftist. So you may say, well, maybe that's what Hassan Piker is talking about, right? Like, maybe these are just normal people that do not comply 100% with the left ideology. But that is not the case, because I actually go to various forums. I do go and interact with people as part of my job as a content creator. And I can tell you that if they think Trump is a radical, they have no idea what's coming. Like, the young generation, especially the men, are incredibly right wing. And the reason for this is that Donald Trump is actually a moderate. He has to appeal to other demographics in order to get the vote. He has to placate a lot of interest groups. It's just the way it works. If he doesn't do this, then he just doesn't get elected. It's just how politics work at a national level. The young generation that's coming up, they have none of these issues. They don't have to placate to anyone. They don't have to cater to any demographic. They don't have to appeal to any interest groups. They just advocate for their own interests, and they're absolutely disconnected from the mainstream culture. Like, they have sets of beliefs, and they have, like, certain things that would abhor any traditional leftist like Hassan. And the reason for it is that they don't trust the academia anymore. They don't trust the media anymore. In fact, to say that they don't trust it would be an understatement. They have contempt for these institutions to the point that if the media is saying that the grass is green, they actually go outside to check because it may be snowing and it may be winter, so the grass may have wither. So the question remains, why are young men acting like this? I mean, even in Germany, when they got 16 years old to vote, and they expected, because traditionally young men vote left, they were voting AFD en masse. And in Romania, they also tinkered with the idea a little bit. It's like, what if we lower the age of voting? And immediately they were like, no, they're going to vote extreme right. No. Why are men like this? And it's all over the Western world, right? It's not just in the United States. And it's very simple. Just look at what the left is offering, right? Because that's how you would explain it. Like, what exactly is the left offering for young men? And then we can judge and see if right-wingers offer something better or not. Now, for the last decade or so, the mainstream culture on the left, it began on Tumblr and then spread across the internet, was identity politics. So what exactly do identity politics say? Well, it says that the world is segregated based on various identities, usually tied to characteristics that you have no control over. So, race, gender, sexuality. And the whole world is based around oppressor and the oppressed. And the cisgender white man is the oppressor, and everyone else is oppressed. So they singled out this particular demographic. And because they consider that this demographic is evil based on their inherent characteristics, there's nothing you can do if you're part of this demographic to escape the stigma. Like, if you're a straight white man, there is nothing that you can do in order to placate these individuals. The only thing they want from you is to be submissive, meek, and to accept the ideology and to say, yes, you have sinned. Yes, you are a problem because your ancestors were colonizers, because of bad things that happened in the past. And even though you didn't do anything, you still have the guilt. And once you placate, the lectures just intensify. Like, it's never enough. They will never be happy. They just, like, intensify the rhetoric. And you know, like obviously people don't like being demeaned. Obviously people don't like being put in a box. Obviously people don't like being forced to be meek. So all of a sudden you notice that there's absolutely nothing that this ideology offers. But that's okay, you know, you can just tune out. I mean, you don't have to listen to the media. You don't have to listen to the academia. You can just tune out and play your video games. Well, the ideology is there as well. Like the video games, yet again, a constant reminder. The TV show, a constant reminder. You get all of these executive decisions that don't make any sense. Like all of a sudden you get a race swapping, and it's always one way. It's always like a white person replaced with a person of color. And when the opposite happens, very rarely, you see all the leftists freaking out and demanding that the director apologizes and be fired. This actually happened with Doctor Strange. They casted the mentor as a white person instead of a Tibetan in order not to upset China or something. And the left just freaked out. They were absolutely livid. They were livid when they casted Jasmine from Aladdin. They casted her, I think she's like half British and half Indian. So like they were like, no, the genetics don't match, the one drop rule. Right? So like you get to see just how racist the left is with their shit. But the moment you step up, yeah, you get banned from social media. So you're not allowed to engage in the political discourse. You don't have any representatives. You do not have anyone that can speak on your behalf. While the opposition does. The opposition has NGOs, and they have university professors, and they have content creators that don't get banned for shit they say, right? So you feel marginalized. You feel atomized. You feel lonely. And then you go on and you try to get a job, and you realize that the policies that the people that are isolating and marginalizing you, the policies that they have is to ship the jobs overseas to totalitarian nations, is to bring cheap labor in so that it's more, that now the competition is more fierce. And when you do get a job, you get taxed to high heaven, and then you have inflation to deal with. So you got like all these things, right? And they're all coming from one side of the political spectrum. And then you go into university, maybe you want to get a better job, you know, like maybe you want to compete better, and you're constantly lectured that you're an evil person, that you're the problem in society. So you got to go through all these lectures, and then you go to a company and the lectures just intensify. So what are these people supposed to do besides hang around on Discord and talk to each other about their experiences? Right? So like, why would they vote left? What are you offering them per se? Like what exactly is it that they benefit from voting left? And I looked at Kamala Harris's recent campaign, and she was basically having like this skit where you have like women talking about Tinder, and the implication is that if you want to get laid, you need to vote Kamala. I think I can get laid without Kamala's help, but like, it is interesting that this is what they think. Like, this is what they think young men want. They just want sex. That's it. That's their understanding of this demographic. It's like every young man wants to fuck, and if we can gatekeep that, you know, we get women on our side and we gatekeep the sex market, then young men will do anything we want because they're like brutes. And this is what they convince themselves. They live in a caricature world. They live in a world based around absurdities because they don't want to engage, right? No platform for bigots, no platform for fascists, and if you're not with them, you're a fascist. Only they can have democracy. Only they can have freedom. You don't get to have that. So they freak out when the young men get a representative. And usually representatives for young men are very rare, but they're also flawed human beings. You want to get someone that's perfect. You get a Jordan Peterson, you know, that for a while he's based and then he goes on weird tangents all of a sudden on Twitter. You get an Andrew Tate. Like, I hate to admit it, but like when he got arrested, he had all those soy faces in Greece going around on the streets, and he's got like millions of followers. And it's very unfortunate that this is the quality of influencers that men get. But what can you do? Right? You just play the game with the cards that are being dealt to you. You can't pick a new deck. And now you get an Elon Musk. And the media freaks out every single time because they want young men to feel atomized and demoralized. They don't want young men to follow their own interests. And their interest is usually to get a job, get a loving wife, start a family, and be able to provide for that family with as little intervention from the government and other people as possible. That's what young men want. But it's not possible. It's not attainable. So they're going to have contempt for the people that are trying to take this away from them. And if they can't achieve their goal, at least they hope that, you know, there is this Romanian saying, "Sămoară și capra veciniului." Like, maybe the neighbor's goat dies as well. So, according to the Wall Street Journal, they're saying that Elon Musk is giving young men meaning. This is literally what they want. This is all they want. They want to see that there is a place for them in society other than to placate and apologize for who they are. Like they want to find some meaning. There's a reason that gangs in the United States are so prevalent. There was actually back in the day that the New York Times was based. I think it was the New York Times. But they actually wrote an article in defense of gangs, if you can believe it. Maybe it wasn't the New York Times. It was like back in 2016. I read this article. It was just like the most bizarre thing. I didn't understand it then. I was making fun of it, but now it makes sense. They were basically saying that at least gangs offer a structure. They offer a system and they offer a place. And the main culture wasn't doing that. Like, what is your place in society? What is your meaning, right? Like even Karl Marx talks about this. And he points out that without meaning, people hate their lives. Right? Like, what is the meaning to be a man? That is something that the left fails to answer. So apparently, they're saying that because Elon Musk is having a meaning of colonizing Mars, and he's setting goals and he's setting principles, and he's setting the idea that, you know, if you emulate my lifestyle and if you have like hard work and stuff, that's a good life. You know, if you have many children, blah, blah, blah. So he is basically being a leader in a world where there are no leaders. And it's not a difficult job. You don't have much to do because there's no competition. And this is why Der Spiegel hates Elon Musk. Again, their entire purpose, and when I say they, I mean the current culture, is to demoralize young men. To make them feel atomized, to make them feel lonely, to make them feel despair, so that they don't organize, so that they don't realize, well, do we have any interests as a group? Like, do we have any ambitions, any goals? What is the meaning for us? And the moment you start asking these questions, and you have a leader, then the media is terrified. The problem with them is that they don't understand that Trump isn't the issue. As I mentioned before, Trump's a moderate. He has to placate different demographics. He's got to placate the boomers. He's got to placate, you know, as many people as he can. But if Trump didn't exist, I think the current young generation would invent him. Like, they would invent something else. Because the young generation is here. And they do need to be represented. And if the left doesn't want to do it, then the right will. And take into account that the left used to represent young people. They were in favor of freedom of expression. So, like, if you want better music, if you want better TV shows, if you want, to enjoy stuff as a young adult, well, the left was supporting you with that. If you wanted to travel, the left would support you with that. They would actually offer certain things. Now, when you grow up and you want to start a business, the right would offer you things. So it was like a mutual understanding, and this is why you had people voting left and people voting right, and there wasn't like a demographic that felt alienated to the point where like one of the political sides is offering them nothing. Absolutely nothing. So they have two choices, either just tune out of the system and not vote, or just vote for the other guy. And this is what's happening, and this is why Hassan Piker is so scared of what he is seeing. There is no outlet for men. There's no outlet for banter, for joking, for trash talking, for being cheeky little shits. And they look at the left and they see a lot of people doing all of these things. Like, you have like a journalist some leftist influencer, and they're being edgy and they're saying shit that you know that would get you banned immediately. But because they're on the right side of history, they get to say everything they want. And it's just not fair, is it? Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.